Hey there viewers, it's Charlie. I'm back again with another Transformers review. And well, if you remember, months ago now, I reviewed Energon Stormjet of the Air Team. And at the time, when I combined him, well, I didn't have the rest of the Air Team, so I just combined it with the Construction Team. But well, today's review is going to be on the Transformers Energon Air Team. That's right, I finally managed to acquire these guys. After many months, I finally got these guys. Because, well, most of the Air Team listings I've seen online were for the Revenge of the Fallen figures. And, well, sure, I could have gotten with that. I could have gone with that idea. Keep in mind, I already had Stormjets instead of Silverbolt, so the combined mode would have looked a bit, well, weird when it came to colors. So I wanted to go with the original colored figures instead of the Revenge of the Fallen recolors. But well, the Air Team, just like the Construction Team, consists of well, two unique figures and two recolors. So here we have Treadshot, the black jet, Sky Shadow, the red and grey jet, Windrazor, the primary red jet, if I can even speak, and Terra Dive, the blue jet. And as you can see, Treadshot and Windrazor are recolors of each other, and Sky Shadow and Terra Dive are recolors of each other. Now, before I get to the figures, this is something I haven't done in a while. This is something I always try to do when I can. Show off the packaging. Yes, I actually have the packaging for both Treadshot and Sky Shadow. Yeah, pretty much nothing to say. It's just, it shows the actual bots. It shows the number when it comes to the Air Team. Got their names. And it shows that they're part of the Power Link battles. And if I spin the boxes around, here we have a picture of the combined mode, Superion Maximus. On this side, it's just an Autobot symbol. But if we look at the backs, it's just the same thing for both of them. A picture of the combined mode, along with where the guy goes for the combination. So here we can see that Treadshot forms an arm, and Sky Shadow forms a leg. And that's how I'm going to form the combined mode later on in the video. But we'll get there when we get there. For now, let's get on with the actual figures. For Stormjet, I'm not going to fully review him, because, well, I already did a review on him months ago, so we're going to focus on the smaller Limbots. And we're going to start off with Treadshot and Windrazor. And something fascinating is, these guys both got their names from Decepticons. Treadshot got his name from a Decepticon Action Master, and Windrazor got his name from a Generation 2 Decepticon. And these guys also suspiciously resemble Air Raid and Fireflight. So yeah, that's pretty weird. But let's have a look at Treadshot first. As you can see, he's a Cybertronian jet. Definitely an aerial bottomage. Here we have the cockpit section. Here we have an Autobot insignia here, along with one of those little Energon combination symbols. The Energon star. Here we have these weapons, and I'll show them later on. The underneath, which doesn't have the robot face showing, thankfully, which is actually a really good thing. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. It's a Cybertronian jet. And for Windrazor, it's pretty much the same, only it's in Fireflight's colors. So it's really up to you on which color you prefer. But well, to get them transformed, if I can just pull these off. To get them transformed, take the little tail fin sections here, twist them around, take these bits, and untab them. Of course, these are the legs. Don't forget to fold on the landing gear. There we go. Next up, get the feet up. Take the arms, move them out, move them up. Oh, one thing I forgot to do is take this entire section and move that up, like so. Take this entire section and just rotate that, so it sort of resembles a Decepticon Seeker. And here we have Treadshot in his robot mode. And as for Windrazor, well, he transforms in the exact same way, so I didn't show it. But while having a look at these two, even though they are the same figure, the paint apps are definitely different. I mean, with Treadshot's head, I mean, you can clearly see that he actually does have a mouth. It's also a cool looking head because he's got these little goggles. And he does have light piping, if you can see that. But yeah, you can clearly see that he's got a mouth, even from far away. But with Windrazor, well, it's not so hard to see. If anything, it looks more like he's got mouth plates. And that's how Fireflight looked in G1 as well. Although, if you look at his head from up close, yes, he too has a mouth. Now, having a 360 of these two, well, they both have the Energon star on the back. That's pretty much the only bit of kibble. And for articulation, I'll show that on Treadshot. The head can turn. The arms are on ball joints and they can move like so. You can T-pose. Elbows are also on ball joints so they can swivel. There's nothing at the waist because, of course, this is a jet transformer. The legs are also on ball joints. They can move back, they can move up. Can do the splits very well. These can swivel. And he's got some good knees. And he's got some feet articulation. So he does have some good articulation. But, well, if you remember these things, well, you can either put these in his hands like this, or like this. So they can either be like little grabby claws, or they can be a double-edged lightsaber. I'll give Treadshot the double-edged lightsaber look, and I'll give Windrazor the claws. Because if you look at Treadshot's packaging, you can see that he's holding the weapon in this way. Well, it's not really a lightsaber, it's actually a gun. But if you want to use it as a lightsaber, then you can. But there's Treadshot holding his weapons. And if I can just get Windrazor. Here's Windrazor holding his weapons. So that could be like a quad barrel gun, or, well, you can use your imagination. But that pretty much does it for these two. Let's have a look at these two. Here we have Sky Shadow and Terra Dive. Just like with the previous two, these guys also get their names from villainous Transformers from the past. Sky Shadow getting his name from Predacon from Beast Wars, and Terra Dive once again getting his name from Generation 2 Decepticon. Yeah, I don't know why they're giving Decepticon names to brand new Autobots. I mean, they did use an Autobot name for one of the construction team members, so But having a look at their alternate modes, we can see that these guys are both A-10 Thunderbolts, or Warthogs, or whatever you call them, A-10 Jets. Just like Power Glide. And if you were good with customizing, you could repaint one of these guys to be Power Glide if you wanted to. Well, having a look at one of them, let's have a look at Sky Shadow. He has, not only does he have this little weapon on top, but he also has this little non-removable gun here. But let's just remove this. But yeah, this is definitely an A-10 jet. Because it's got the thrusters, it's got the big wings. Although underneath, it does have these little cannons, although you can't really pose them, because look, it's the robot head. The back, which just exposes the little robot, well, the combined mode ports. And as I showed, the underneath does show the robot head, so... Well, this is a cool looking alternate mode. It does have a bit of robot junk showing. One thing I do like is that the arms actually do pose as the little turbines for the jet mode. Now, having a look at Terra Dive. Well, if his blue was a bit darker, and if my phone will stop glitching, if this guy's blue was a bit darker, this could pass as the Cobra Rattler vehicle, or even the Decepticon Viper from Combiner Wars. But yeah, just like Sky Shadow, only in a blue color scheme. Well, let's get to this guy's transformation, and this guy's transformation is actually pretty weird, but fun. So, to transform this guy, untap the jet thrusters, and turn them around, like so. Open these bits up, like so. get this bit. I'll turn this around. And then untap that. Then take the entire wing section and rotate that. And just tab that in. Spin this around 90 degrees. Untap this. Spin these around. These are what form the feet. Move the legs around. The arms, sorry. Take this section and lift that up. And here we have Sky Shadow in his robot mode. And for Terra Dive, it's the exact same transformation. And once again, even though they're the same figures, the paint apps actually make the figures look pretty different. So, like, having a look at these two. As we can see, the wings pretty much form a cape. Having a look at the actual robot head, we can see that he actually has some goggles, which if you want to display them like this, then you can. But I just leave them up to show his eyes. Although, what I really like is the way his legs transform. Because that is actually really unique. Yeah, not really much to say about these guys. So, the articulation, head can, of course, turn around. The arms can turn, although not 360, sadly. Can T-pose. These bits are on ball joints, so the elbows can turn around as per the transformation. Also, because of the transformation, the waist can swivel. Legs can move up, can move back. It's got some knees. The knees can actually turn around. And he's got some foot articulation. So if you want if you want to get these guys into some action poses, then, well, you can. Yeah, as I said, not really much to say. So let's give these guys their weapons. Now, unlike with Treadshot and Windrazor, I've only found one way to give them their weapons. And that's pretty much like this. Oh, crap. But still, to try and get them different from each other, you can try and put one in well, you can put one weapon in one of them's right hand and put the other in the other's left hand, so that way they don't look the same. So we'll just do the same for Terra Dive. Yeah, it's a bit hard trying to put the weapons in their hands. Right, there we go. So there we go. That was my fault. Yeah, it's easy to knock these figures over. Here they are, their weapons. And, well, if I can just get Stormjet transformed. Now, let's go in for an entire group shot. So what I'll do is I'll have these guys in front. And since these guys have bigger wingspans, I'll have them in the back. But, well, Here we have the entire air team in their robot modes. And I must say, these guys look awesome together. Even though they all have different names, you can tell that these guys are supposed to be the aerial bots. Like, come on, this is supposed to be Slingshot. This is supposed to be Air Raid. That's Silverbolt. That's Firefly, and that's Skydive. And their Japanese names were actually the aerial bots' names. So, you can tell what Takara was intending. But, well, if you remember my Stormjet review, when I transformed him into his torso mode, I combined them with the construction team. Not only was I trying to reference a scene in the Energon series where he did actually kill Steamhammer and took his limbs, but that was just because I didn't have these guys at the time. But, well, let's get on to the full-on combination, shall we? Let's finally have a look at Superion Maximus. With Stormjet, I'm not going to show his torso mode transformation, but for the others, yeah, let's have a look at how these guys transform into their limb modes. Let's start off with the legs. If you remember the packaging, the legs were formed from Sky Shadow and Windrazor. So let's start off with Sky Shadow. There we go. So pretty much this guy's leg mode consists of transforming him back into his jet modes, but leaving this bit untransformed, the feet. I'll show you what I mean. So you want to transform back into his jet mode, but leave the feet like this. Not only that, but you're going to fold the wings around as well. Next, just tab the arms back into where they were. Now, just get this entire section. Fold that out. Push that little thing back in. And try and line the tabs up with the posts on the figure. Sometimes easier said than done because I think you have to really have a close look at it to try and do it. But once you manage, here we have Sky Shadow in his leg mode. There we go. That's his true leg mode. And for Windrazor, well, we just take away his weapons and straighten these out. Here, I've got this little contraption thingy. This was included with, what's this? With their names, Treadshot and Windrazor. I think these bits fold out for a bit of stability. But these plug in. I'll do that off screen. But once you do it, that forms a foot. A weird looking foot, but a foot nonetheless. Probably done this wrong. So, Whatever. But what we'll do is we'll try and transform this guy back. However, leave the arms up. That's how I do it. And with the legs, split them like so. And have them tap into these little shoulder sections. Turn these bits around so they're facing the cockpit section here. And then just plug this in. Once again, I'll do this off screen. Hang on. Okay then, there we go. I had these little bits plugged into the wrong ends, but I've managed to sort that. So here we have these guys in their leg modes. Now for the arm modes, it's pretty much the same thing. So for Treadshot, pretty much just transform them back into the jet mode, but leave the little arm sections up. At least that's what I do. I guess if you want to make it flush, then have these bits. Turn these bits 90 degrees. Turn the legs 180 degrees. And then just... There we go. Split the waist. Like so. I think this guy also had the same little grey section that Windrazor has, but But these guys are swappable. If you want this guy to be a leg, then this is what you do. But if you want this guy to be a hands, there you go, and just and then just try and move the combiner port down if you can. There we go. Like so. So here we have the arm mode. And for Terra Dive, we pretty much transform him back into his alternate mode. So, just won't take long at all. Just need to get this guy back into his jet modes. And there we go. Also fold the wings up. Open. Try and push that in. Then try and push that. Like so. And move the combiner port down. And here we have Terra Dive in his arm mode. Now for Stormjet, I'm not going to show his one on camera. Okay, there we go. Now for the entire combination, which I'm just going to do off camera because, well, I'm going to have to raise it anyway, so it's going to make sense to just well, put down the camera, combine the figures off camera, and then put the filming back on to show the entire figure combined, so just bear with me. And here is Superion Maximus in his full-on combined mode. Now, this figure looks amazing when combined. And I just want to say, I'm excited to have my second Energon combiner in my collection. Because already now is Bruticus Maximus. In fact, if I could just be careful. Here he is with Constructicon Maximus. Don't these guys just look awesome together? Yeah, they definitely do. And if you wanted to, you could swap the limbs around. So you could give Steamhammer these limbs, and you can give Stormjet these limbs. So yeah. But as you can see, despite clearly being a version of Superion, well, he looks a little bit different. Mainly in the head. Well, G1 Superion's head was mainly black, and he had a faceplate, and his head had these little gold antennas. This guy's head has a full-on mouth. And instead of these antennas, he has these full-on horns. So, yeah. Now, I've gone by what the packaging on the... Well, I've gone by what the back of Treadshot's packaging has said. By having him as this arm, Terra Dive as this arm, Sky Shadow as this leg, and Windrays as this leg. But you can mix and match if you want to. Now, for this guy's articulation, I'm not going to actually do it because the limbs could fall off if I'm not careful. But for this guy's articulation, well, the head can turn around because you have to do that for the transformation. And I do not know why my phone keeps glitching. Thanks to these little joints, he can technically T-pose. The arms can move, although there's no elbows. There's no waist articulation, sadly. Although he does have some articulation here and here, so he can technically do the splits if you're careful. And he's got some knees. So yeah. Well, he does have some articulation. I feel it's best to just pose them standing still, because he looks intimidating no matter what. And well, that's pretty much all I have to say. Complaints about these guys? Well, sometimes when you try to combine these guys, Sky Shadow has trouble trying to stay on. Although, that's only sometimes. What I did was, I managed to combine them by just holding onto Stormjet's leg and pushing Sky Shadow on. So yeah, sometimes this leg can be hard to try and get on, but... Well, other complaints... Well, Sky Shadow and Terra Dive can be easy to knock over. I guess because their feet are sort of unbalanced. What else? I've heard people complain that Sky Shadow and Terra Dive's goggles can come off sort of easily if you're not careful. And, well, I haven't had that issue in this video, as you've seen, so I guess I should count myself lucky. I can't really think of any other complaints, so do I recommend these guys? Well, if you're an Energon collector, then yeah, these guys are actually pretty cool looking, and I'm actually really glad to have these guys in my collection, finally. But, well, if you're just a casual Transformers fan, well, there's better Superion figures. I mean, Combiner Wars, for example. But if you're more, well, not hardcore, but if you're a more obsessed fan like I am, then I definitely do recommend these guys, because they are pretty fun. So, yeah, I definitely do recommend these guys. Well, this has been my review on Superion Maximus, and this is Charlie Young, signing off.